your agenda. First, you're going to have a look at a couple of activities on page 88. Reading signs, choosing correct meanings, and then completing sentences with between 1 to 3 words. Then you're going to have a look at Test Yourself, which is a little reading exercise. And then we're going to look at the main part of today's class, which is past perfect continuous. We're going to look at focusing on today. And then there's a My On reading to finish. Our end in mind, to be able to understand differences between past perfect simple and past perfect continuous tenses. Right, we looked at past perfect simple the other day. We did an activity. Some of us did it well, some of us didn't. Some of us forgot to use the auxiliary verb had in our sentences, so I could only give you half marks. The function of past perfect was to make it clear that one event happened before another event in the past. What auxiliary verb do we use in past perfect simple sentences? Okay, we use had as our auxiliary verb. Do we use our main verb in infinitive, past, or past participle? PP. Yeah, nice, Emma. Past participle. Anyone want to write a very quick example of a past perfect simple sentence in the chat? Anyone brave enough to do so? Rodders, perfect. I had lost my pencil. It's a past perfect simple sentence. Excellent work. Here was one of the examples we used last week. Do you remember it? He robbed a bank because he had spent all of his money on watches. He robbed a bank because he had spent all of his money on watches. Remember that the past perfect part is first, and then the simple past part we use for the second event in the past. So if you can just tell me what happened first in that sentence. Okay, Rodders, you're on form today. Wonderful. First, he spent his money, and then he had to rob the bank. Okay, so he spent his money on the watches, and then he had none left, so he went to rob. The sentence structure we'll have a look at of past perfect continuous. So we split it into 2. You see those circles? We're going to have the first part, past perfect, and the second part, continuous. Remember your sentence structure for past perfect. What was it? What auxiliary did we use? We have the had and the past participle. Okay, we just looked at that one. Now, continuous sentences. Do you remember what they have in their structure? All of the continuouses. So present continuous we've looked at. We've looked at past continuous, and we're going to look at past perfect continuous. So we use the verb to be plus the main verb in ing. For example, I am walking is a present continuous. I was walking is past continuous. In the first section, we have had. And then in the second part, the past participle of be. What is the past participle of be? Anybody know? Rodders, excellent. Been is the past participle. So you've got had and then been. And then you have your main verb in ing. I'll put an example on the bottom and you can see how it works, okay? So then we have our had, then we have our been, and then we have our verb with the ing. So I use playing. I had been playing. Okay, that is how you start your past perfect continuous sentences. Obviously, that is affirmative, it's not negative or a question. Okay, so there are 3 reasons why we would use this. 1, to show that an action started in the past and continued up to another action, an interruption. Okay, and we have to explain why an action or feeling occurred. And finally, to talk about the duration of an activity which continued up to a specified point in the past. Okay, should be able to see it now. So we have a continuous action that is interrupted by something. That is your function 1. For example, I had been sleeping and then something happens. Something in the past happened when you'd been sleeping. Maybe you had to wake up because, try and finish it off. That interrupting action is in the simple past. I had been sleeping when my mum entered the room. Good, Dara, excellent. Function 2 is to explain why something in the past happened. So we have an action in the past that we put in simple past, like in the first example. But why did it happen? You explain why it happened using the past perfect continuous. For example, I crashed my car because I hadn't been paying attention. So we'll go down to function 3, and then we'll have a little bit of participation. This one, we talk about a duration of time before something happened. So it's very similar to the first one, but we're talking about durations of time. I had been studying for 3 hours before I had my Cambridge exam. I had been eating for 20 minutes before the teacher noticed. Here are some example sentences. You're going to tell me which function it was, 1, 2, or 3. So here's the first one. I went to the cinema because I had been feeling bored. Is that function 1, function 2, or function 3? You can see them at the top of the screen. I'm very happy to say that you've all got the correct answer. Well done. I had been studying for 10 weeks before that exam. What do we think about this one? Lovely. We're getting some 3s in, which is good news. So we have the duration. 10 weeks is a duration of time. Cedar Juarez, Jessica, Kimberly, Megan, lovely work. And this one, I hope he liked the project. I had been working on it for 10 hours a week before the deadline. $10 hours a week. 10 hours a week is the clue. $10 a week. Is what? 10 hours a week is the duration, is it not? So we're going to put what? Number 3. 10 hours a week. And the last one. I had been caring for my mother's cat when it died. Yes, Benny. Cedar Juarez. Yeah. Gethsemane good. Jonas good. This is the most frequent one we use. And you've all said number 1, which is lovely. Let's have a look at one of the diagrams that we have here. So we have a footballer. You probably know who he is if you're interested in football. He's kicking a ball, so he's playing football. And then a disaster happens. And you see that little picture there. Now, these things happened in the past. That's why we're using past perfect continuous. He had been playing football when he broke his leg. That is an example. Excellent. Now we're going to have a look at another one. The alien had been feeling sick, so it went to the doctors. The alien had been feeling sick, so it went to the doctors. Again, all of this happened in the past. And then the last one, there we go. What do we think this sentence is? Can we try and write it in the text using what we've learned today? So it's a girl, there's a clue. It is number 3, yeah. So it's the function 3. So let's try and write the sentence together in the chat. So the first word, what's it going to be? You got the auxiliary there, which is perfect. She had. We've got a clue, which is the 15 minutes. And Jonas, excellent. Rodders, you're just missing one word. She had something reading. What are we missing? Remember that. There we go, Jessica. She had been reading Now, when we talk about durations, we use the word for, don't we? Am I going to say before or after? Was she reading before or was she reading after? Before, Dara, thank you. So we are up to, she had been reading for 15 minutes before. So what did the bus do? Alexa, I love that, but just put the arrives in simple past. There we go.